Welcome back to Real Cast Fishing Podcast. Your host, Glenn, with the City of Allen Fishing Field Team, a COAF Field Team on YouTube. And this round, we got a little Let's Talk Fishing, but live streaming. In this case, had a call out from one of our readers, viewers, listeners, asking about going over some of the GoPro live streaming setups that yours truly uses, specifically GoPros. And, well, I wanted to go into some detail there, starting out with some background. So I initially started going out there with the GoPro, and it was an old GoPro. I think it's the Hero. I don't even know if it's the Hero 1. It's an old one right here, okay? And it wasn't live streaming. It was instead just doing some recording. I put a little windscreen deal on the back, and I coupled it with a contour beat-up camera, and I used a 2-camera setup for kayak fishing, and that used that for years, using a chest mount for the GoPro, and I could talk directly in here without much wind at all. And then I also would be able to sync to the other camera, and it wasn't live streaming, but a lot of times I would be able to do some commentary on it, and sometimes I would just talk about it on a particular, let's say, live stream, going into detail on what I was doing there. So I guess that would be the early version of the GoPro live streaming that I'm using, that I used to use. And that was a 2-camera setup. And this, I still use it today, this GoPro Hero, off and on kayak fishing. So a GoPro Hero with a chest mount and a B-roll camera or A-roll camera, so that you can see what you're doing, or what yours truly's doing when I'm kayak fishing. All right. Okay, so let's move up in time now, taking advantage of the GoPro, in this case, the Hero 8. Initially got started with the GoPro Hero 8 for 2 reasons. I got a little dunking with my Hero 5, and it got wet, and luckily I was able to salvage it, but I was able to replace it with a Hero 8, and out of necessity, I ended up getting that Hero 8 to replace the Hero 5. And on top of it, I like the Hero 8 because the microphone is very good, and I don't have to worry about putting a closure on it, and I can just dunk it in the water, and I can still be able to fish with it. Still be able to do some videotaping. But from a live streaming standpoint, I like that I can couple it with my phone and live stream from my GoPro to the phone and up to YouTube, and get you some of these action shots. So to show you what that setup looks like, it's right here. I've got a GoPro chest mount. I have a power brick right here that I slide right into the chest mount, right behind the plate. And then it's called the Power BR 3BR Power Sports. It's housing that has a USB to USB-C connection right here, or correction, from the power, or USB connection, USB-C connection from the Hero 8 with a USB connection that I would put into my power brick. And with this, I was able to live stream for hours, not have to worry about it overheating, kicking off on me. And this is the one that I use for the GoPro mobile fishing live streams. And so it's the 3BR Power Sports housing. It's got a little plating here that gives it some water resistance. You can't dunk it, but you can definitely fish with it in a mist or shower without too much sweat about it getting trashed. And mainly just keeping, your power connection waterproof as much as you can as well. I normally use it during fair weather times, so yeah. That one is linked to my phone, and I'll put my phone into my jacket or pocket and just go and start fishing and just seeing what happens, and capturing that information and getting it to YouTube. The other piece that I'll do is sometimes I'm on the go and I don't want to use the harness. I'll use one of these Telson neck mounts. Put it around you here, it clicks here, you can pop this off, and it's nice because don't have to worry about that chest mount on you, and it's a little bit more, I guess, stealthy, so you don't have a chest mount on you. Instead, it's just a little camera thing kind of hidden, and people don't notice it as much. Additionally, I'll do that same rig, and I'll just old school it and take it out of the 3BR Power Sports housing and just use it as a GoPro proper. The only modification I do at that point is I'll use a windscreen that I'll put over, and it's made out of foam. And this is surprisingly good in keeping the wind noise down. And then I'll just have a bunch of extra batteries and live stream. Usually I get about maybe 45 minutes or so on those hot days, not as much, and it'll actually even kick off on me. So those are just short live streams, quick trips, 15, 30 minutes of getting some action shots and hopefully getting you some good video out there live streaming, talking about a particular event in some cases, or just talking about some key things about a particular location that I'm walking through. When I'm just doing the GoPro mobile fishing live stream, I do rely more on this setup, that 3BR, that 3BR Power Sports housing with the USB, the power brick connection on a chest mount. All right, and that's pretty much it. I mean, I do have a Hero 5 that I use as an A-roll camera attached to an HDMI switcher, and I also have another DVR camera that I put on top of the switcher, and I'm able to get some action shots for some zooming in for particular events, maybe TRWD Fly Fest, knock on wood here, that's going to be coming up here in March. So I can get you some good video of what action's happening in front of me, zooming in, and hopefully getting that on tape. And then at the same time, maybe I'll be able to go and touch base with some folks and do maybe some on-site interviews and whatnot. So that's the main live streaming setups that I have. From a GoPro standpoint, I rely heavily on the Hero 8, the 3BR Power Sports housing, and a chest mount. And in this case, I'm starting to shift over to more mobility. In this case, less is more. So like right now, I'm using a dynamic microphone that's tied into a Zoom pod track that's hooked into my phone, and I'm streaming live right now. Minimal setup. There's like really 3 pieces of gear, and that's about it. And it seems to be working so far. I've done several live streams like this, and they seem to work pretty well. Some of the things that I do need to keep in mind is when I'm doing a unedited live version of a video podcast, I got to remember that from a podcasting standpoint, for those that aren't on video, is I need to describe or detail what I'm doing. So hey, here's a good practice again. I'll just walk through what we just talked about with the GoPro mobile fishing live stream setup that I use. And I'll just describe it in this case. And for those on the video, I'll just walk through it visually. Okay, so again, 3BR Power Sports housing that connects to a USB-C connection to a power brick, and that powers the GoPro for hours, and I can stream for a good while. It is wirelessly connected to my Android phone, and I'm streaming from GoPro's app into YouTube. And I have a chest mount that there's, other than just slipping the power pack in behind the plate on the chest mount, there's really no other modification there. And I put it around my chest and I start fishing. So that's that setup. And then there's this other thing, a neck mount called from Telson. All right, and this is another one that I use. Basically just replace this from the chest mount, and it stays pretty good. It's pretty tight. It doesn't bounce around, and I've gotten some really good live streams there as well. Let's see. Other things, when I do old school it, and I just go back to the Hero 8 with nothing else, just battery powered, then I'll bring, the only other modification I do to it is I use a Windslayer housing, foamy thing that goes around it, and that really cuts down on wind noise and plosives when you're talking on your particular live stream. All right. Another piece that I'll pick up that came in a kit was this Ulanzi tripod selfie stick. All right. I haven't used this one that much, but I like the opportunity to be able to, one, set it up as a tripod, at the same time use it as a selfie stick, and it seems to work, or it seems to be a good form factor that I could go out and just keep things simple and still get some good information out there for those that are desiring to host a live stream on their own. All right. I'm hoping that answered the mail with the GoPro mobile live streaming setup. It's really just a core piece of gear, the GoPro Hero 8. You could probably go with other ones. I think the Hero 8 on up, or maybe the 7 on up, allows that live streaming capability to your phone, versus the Hero 5, you're not able to do it. The other thing is I do like the microphone on the Hero 8. It's picks up well, other than you do get some wind noise here and there, but in the case of the GoPro 3BR power setup housing, you can see here, and I'll describe it, these are these little close foam cell that I put over the microphone, let's see, I guess inputs, where the sound goes into the 3BR Power Sports housing and into the GoPro itself. I've used that to cut down on the wind noise as well. Doesn't work as well as the foamy wind slayer piece, but it still works enough that I can still do some GoPro mobile fishing live streams in windy conditions and still be able to talk without it basically overpowering the audio of the video. All right. Okay. Wow, I thought this was going to take a little bit longer, but, well, it didn't. So with that, I just wanted to get the word out, answer the mail, GoPro mobile fishing live stream. Coming up in the next few is our next episode of the of the Little Red Book of Fly Fishing series, where I'm going through these various tips in the Little Red Book of Fly Fishing. This next round is going to be tips 46 through 50. And in part 2 of the book, the section that we're currently on, it talks more of fly presentation and less on the casting, or actually just focuses on presenting the fly and catching the trout in this case, compared to part 1 was on the fly casting. So do stay tuned. I'll probably be doing that here in the next few days. Very simple format. All I do is just start reading through a particular tip, call out some key takeaways of each, discuss it, and go on to the next until we're done with that section. And so in this case, we're going to be 46 through 50. We'll keep going in part 2 till we finish that. Excuse me, and then we'll move on to another. Other than that, if you can think of other things that you want to discuss or bring up on a various podcasts or on various fishing videos, do reach out. I look at all the different comments that come in. Monitor those. Most recently, I've been posting a lot of YouTube shorts for calling out some particular tips or funnies in some cases. Even some, I think I did a little boxing one where I was surfing YouTube, and there was this one boxing or MMA fight where the individual had knocked out the other person, but you couldn't tell how he did it. And luckily, I was able to slow down the frames on the YouTube short, and I was able to see that he hit him with his elbow. Pretty interesting. So got that one on there. So do check that one out, as well as some of those other ones. There's some funny ones also in there from Hank Patterson and various other individuals who, well, funny fishing videos. So do check that out. So with that, I'll go ahead and call this one done. And do follow up with me if you have any more questions concerning the GoPro mobile live streaming setups, as well as if you have any more suggestions for future episodes. All right. Till next time, we'll catch y'all there, and good luck and good fishing.